We have just finished installing the backdrop system for our studio, but we made some changes in the process and there are a couple of tips I wish I knew before starting. So in this video I will share the installation process from start to finish, as well as my tips that may save you some time or might just help you out. For this build I'm using the Neewer 4-roller wall mounting background support system, but the same steps and tips will apply even if you are using a bit different system, for example with 2 or 3 rollers. This Neewer system comes with almost everything you need to have the backdrop system in your space. 8 expand bars, 2 4-fold hooks, screws to secure hooks to the wall, counterbalance for each chain, 4 chains to lower and rise the paper backdrops, and a manual. And all of this costs around $100 to $120 US, depending on whether there is any special offers at the time. There are links in the description if you want to check it out. What nobody really talks about is that it is not actually that cheap to install a paper backdrop system in your studio. Sure, the system itself, like this Neewer system, costs only around $100. But for example, if you want to have these paper backdrops that are 2.75 meters or 9 feet wide, you will need metal tube crossbars for the durability of the roll, so that the cardboard center does not bend and crease the paper in the long term. I got these from Nanlite as they were the ones available in my location, but they look pretty much the same as the ones from Photoconic. I will include the links for those in the description as well. And these metal crossbars cost around $47 each, so you see the cost of our project has already gone from $100 up to roughly $300, and that's without the paper backdrops. This actually leads us to the first tip, which is to figure out exactly how wide your backdrops will be, because the system is mounted to the wall with screws. And for example, while the paper backdrops I use are 2.75 meters or 9 feet wide, the metal crossbar is 3 meters or 10 feet wide. And if the space allows, I would suggest using the metal tube crossbars for 2 reasons. 1, as I mentioned, they will prevent the paper background rolls from bending over time, and 2, that will give you exact and identical width for all rolls. But you know, these crossbars should be ordered before you install the backdrop system. Now let's get into installing the Neewer system. Even though you could install the backdrop system solo, I suggest you invite friends to help you out with it. It will make the process much easier and faster. Plus it happened to be that my guys have all the necessary tools. And I get to document all the process. We started by measuring and figuring out the exact place where the backdrops will be, and used the laser level in the process to make sure that the level of the system will be correct once everything is in place. We replaced a couple of the screws with longer ones. The ones included probably would do a good job holding the backdrop and the whole system, but I don't know, it just felt like the right thing to do. And spoiler alert, the way we installed it turned out to work perfectly. So we started by drilling the holes for the hooks on one side and then screwed the first hook to the wall. I think I haven't mentioned it yet, but we are attaching this system to a brick wall. It is very likely that for gypsum and other types of walls, a different approach and screws are needed, so you might want to look it up. Since the required width was measured, it was time to move the laser level to the other side and add the markers for where the holes should be drilled. Once that was done, we screwed the second 4-fold hook to the wall. Now it was time to see if everything fitted perfectly and we could hang the background papers on the hooks. Look here, the metal tube crossbars are thinner than the center of the background papers. Once you pull the metal tube crossbar through the cardboard core of the paper backgrounds, you will need to secure the position of the backdrop on the crossbars so it wouldn't be loose. And to make sure that the crossbars stay connected with the backdrops, we wind some amount of duct tape on both ends of the crossbar. And then we push the backdrop on top. Once the paper backdrop was set on the crossbar, it was time to place the extend bars on the ends of the crossbar and insert the plastic chain. Also, don't forget to insert the counterbalance for the chain. By the way, if you're getting value from this video, make sure to hit the like button if you haven't already. Much appreciated. When placing the backdrop on the hooks, you will have to adjust the tightness of the roll on one end. We didn't realize it at first, and that's why as soon as we lowered the background to a certain extent, it just kept rolling out. So try to adjust it so it wouldn't be too stiff or too loose, and give it a couple of tests. All that was left at this point was to repeat the same process for the other metal tube crossbars and background papers, until all 4 of them were up and hanging nicely. And while doing so, we noticed that if we placed all the chains on one side of the backdrops, then they kind of get into each other's way. So in order for them to move more freely and it would be much easier to lower and raise the background papers, we decided to place 2 on one side and 2 on the other side. At this point, the installation process was finished and everything was looking perfect. And special thanks goes to my friends for helping out here. The only thing that was bothering me was the paper backgrounds sometimes overlapped and didn't roll down in their intended places. And that was because the paper ends were curved. I know at some point they will straighten out a bit, but to speed it up, I bought a couple of metal plates and magnets. I attached those over the weekend while the system wasn't in use, and it seems that it has helped to solve that. Now, once your background system will be in place and ready for action, you might want to get some lighting ideas and tips, so make sure to watch this video next where I break down one of my photo shoots. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and I will see you in the next one. Ciao.